I've survived 3 economic downturns as a realtor. The first economic downturn, I got caught with my pants down. It taught me that there is nothing that's going to happen in real estate that's going to kill you. There's nothing that's going to happen pretty much anywhere in your job that's going to kill you. The things that will kill you will be like a bus or a mountain or disease. So get over it.
Welcome to Leading and Growing Your Real Estate Business. I'm James Short, and this show dives into the real stories behind the agents and the leaders shaping our industry. No polished highlight reels, just honest conversations about what's working, what's not, and how they're building businesses that actually grow. Each episode, I sit down with someone in the trenches, top performers, rising leaders, business owners who've cracked the code and others still figuring it out. We unpack the wins, the failures, the habits, and the lessons you can put to work straight away. Before we dive in, can I ask a favor? And please subscribe or follow on the platform you're listening or watching this. The more we grow, the bigger impact we can have together. And thank you. Let's get started. Welcome back to another edition. And ladies and gentlemen, strap yourselves in because we have an amazing guest all the way from the US. Andrea Gordon is a distinguished real estate professional with extensive experience in the Bay Area market. She's committed to redefining perceptions of realtors through her authentic approach to the industry. As the host of Realizations podcast, Andrea combines her expertise with heartfelt conversations to offer listeners a fresh perspective on real estate, the challenges professionals face, and the inspiring stories that shape the industry. Honored and privileged to have you on the show. Welcome.
That was quite the introduction. I don't know if I can live up to that, but thank you.
Now, you've got such an amazing background, and I want to start there. Obviously, you love the arts, you love theatre, but you also love real estate. How did that journey go of venturing into the real estate world?
As you mentioned, I'm a theater director, writer, and producer. About 29 years ago, I produced a play called Liverpool Fantasy. And it was a play about the Beatles, except it was like that film, It's a Wonderful Life. Instead of picking the right hit single, they never hit the right hit single. And John is living on the dole. His son Julian is the leader of a neo-fascist organization. George has become a monk. And Ringo has married a hairdresser. And Paul has become a lounge singer. And he's coming back through Liverpool on a bus and truck tour. They all meet up at John's flat and rehash everything that night. Anyway, the play got rave reviews. It ended up getting incredible reviews in the gay press. Of course, all of us back then were worried that Paul and John were a gay couple, and it was all very titillating and all that. Anyway, end result of that was it came out at the exact same time as the Beatles anthology. And the main reviewer for the main paper in San Francisco wrote the most important review in rhyming couplets using all Beatles song titles to absolutely excoriate me. It was unbelievable.
Wow.
Our audiences went from being full to almost nobody. I was super pissed off because it was a beautiful show. It was gorgeous. Everybody in it was marvelous. Audiences loved it. I had gotten rave letters. I got a telegram from Paul McCartney wishing us good luck. So I just couldn't believe that it was failing. I kept running it. And it was what's called an equity production. All the actors were union. All the stagehands were ITSE, all of that. So everybody was getting paid a lot of money. And I was going into more and more debt. I closed the show. At the time, I was working as a volunteer at the San Francisco AIDS Foundation. So I wasn't making any money at all. And I had borrowed money from my sister, from friends, from family to put this on. And it doesn't sound like a lot now, but I was $60,000 in massive debt, and I'd gone through all my savings. So
Wow.
I borrowed a suit from my sister, and I went on a bunch of job interviews. And there was one job interview was for an advertising agency. And I lied and got the job. I had no experience whatsoever in advertising, but I ended up with my own corner office in a place called Sausalito and my own secretary. I did sales, and it was high-tech engineering sales. I knew nothing of what I was talking about, but I literally just memorized all the lists and talked to people and went, a lot of the time when I was talking to them on the phone. I made a ton of money. And at the end of the year, I was able to pay back every dime that I had borrowed from everyone. As soon as I had done that, I marched into my boss's office and I quit. I asked him if he had known that I didn't know what I was talking about when I got there. And he said, yeah, but I figured you were a natural. So then I thought, what else could I sell? So I went to a bunch of car dealerships because I love cars. I drive a Porsche now. I looked, and all of the salespeople there were men, and all of the support staff were women. I thought, oh, this isn't going to work for me. Then I went to a real estate office and saw that everybody was female pretty much, maybe 20% men, and thought, okay, I could do this. So I got my license, and my first month in the business, I made 6 sales. And I've pretty much done that ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful story. What do you think has been some of those qualities that have helped you transition from doing the theatre production to becoming that sales agent?
I wrote a book that's going to be coming out this year called Realizations, just like my podcast. In it, I talk about how theater and real estate are analogous skill sets for a wide variety of reasons. I'm in a PhD program right now, taking one class at a time. I'll be 80 by the time I get it, but I learn stuff all the time. I learned a word the other day called kairos. Kairos is the ability to innately understand and read the room, which is something actors and theater people do all the time. Developing kairos is a super skill for real estate salespeople. So you understand how to model the different clients that you have, to recognize what you should communicate, how you should communicate, what they're going to actually listen to. You have to figure those things out. And theater is a wonderful place to learn where to listen. I don't think people listen very much anymore. I think that we have a situation where everybody is so eager to get what they want to say out that they are already formulating what they're going to say before the other person has said it. And the thing about real estate, because you're dealing with people at the very most difficult portions of their lives, like they've had a baby, so they need a bigger house, or they've gotten married, or they've gotten a new job. And then there's also the divorce and the death and the this and the that. But you're literally meeting people at these incredible juncture points in their lives. And if you do not know how to handle those kinds of emotions, you will not do well in real estate. Consequently, having a theater background, particularly improv classes, are fantastic for realtors. Think on your feet when situations come up. You also have to memorize a lot of stuff as a realtor. You need to understand rules and regulations and be able to explain them in ways that people can actually hear. All of that is a set of theatrical skills that translate perfectly over into real estate. So my book is Compass. They honored me by asking me to teach a master class to people in closing last year. All of the sessions were recorded, and then I transcribed them. When I was looking at it, I thought I should turn this into a book, because it was just a simple step by step what you need to do to learn how to be a closer. Too often, people in real estate think of themselves as the trusted advisor. And yes, you are. Most people need to be pushed off a cliff in order to finish a real estate transaction. But nobody in their right mind wants, in my area, a median house price is $1.2 million. If somebody walks into a house and sees something that they could buy, that they could see themselves in, their first look is not one of ecstasy, it's one of horror, because they're like, oh my God, I could actually do this. I might actually spend this kind of money. Am I a lunatic? And then the very next thing they do is start trying to find the obstacles. Your job is to make sure that those obstacles don't stop them from getting what they want, all the way down to the finish line. It's really, that joke from the David Mamet show, always be closing. It's not that you should always be closing, but you should know when to close. And that's something that theatrical skill sets can teach you as well.
Spot on. There's so many golden nuggets in that, because I think it's so important. So many different things around communication, around listening, around the emotional intelligence, understanding, reading the room, understanding your own emotional state when you're going in and doing that transaction and building that relationship. So many important aspects that you said. And I light up and I internally smile and laugh, because my she's an actor and she runs her own Shakespeare company here in Australia. So
Cool.
I've been to many of her
Connect
shows
us.
over the years, but that's the thing, the ability to really connect to your audience, no matter
Right.
if you're at an open or in a lounge room signing up a listing. How do you connect and how do you listen? That is absolutely amazing. And your success has really shown that over the years, reading your background and your profile and being awarded #1 sales agents in so many years. Like, that's that consistency. How do you With your own consistency, how do you maintain that? What are some of the things that you do to maintain that?
First off, I have incredible assistants. I've closed $62 million in sales this
Wow.
year. I took 94 listings this year.
Wow.
About 50% of them are going into next year because I start a pipeline for my next year. I start thinking in October about the following year. I also business plan in November. I'm a director and producer, not an actor. So I'm not the person who's out there having the big emotions. I'm the one who's managing all the big emotions. I like things to be orderly. I have systems in place for pretty much everything. And I know that that's boring to people. They hear systems, oh, yeah, yeah. But the reality is, if you don't have a system in place, you cannot treat real estate like a job. You'll just be like a bumper car bouncing from one place to the next. You won't know what you're doing. There are specific things that I do to market every single month without fail. It doesn't matter what it is. When the economy goes down, I actually increase my marketing budget. During the pandemic, I was the last person standing. I sold $112 million worth of real estate in 2021, which is a similar number of transactions to the ones that I've done this year so far. It's just that the prices were higher. Because I had systems in place, I survived. I've survived 3 economic downturns as a realtor. The first economic downturn, I got caught with my pants down. I had spent too much money. I'd been way too generous, buying drinks for everybody at the bar, doing this, that, and the other thing. And I realized after that, I've got to put a plan in place. I've got to get financially savvy. I have a bookkeeper, a financial planner, and an accountant. So I have 3 people on my financial staff taking care of this stuff for me. I think people should have classes in finance for realtors because anybody who is an entrepreneur, like a realtor is, remember, when you work for a company, I don't work for Compass. As far as I'm concerned, Compass works for me. So as long as Compass works for me, then it's a copacetic situation. But you have to develop a mindset that you are in business for yourself. And what are you going to do to protect your finances, your family, the things you need to do? I know exactly. And also I have a business coach. Business coaching
Great.
is absolutely important. You have to have a coach. My coach is a woman named Vonda Martin. She was with Tom Ferry for quite some time and then created her own coaching company. And I went over to her because I wanted to work with her. Vonda will say things to me like, I'll come in sobbing about some horrible nightmare that's occurred because some client's been awful. And Vonda will say, get it out. Then
Yep.
she'll wait a minute and she'll go, too bad, so sad, let's move on. Sometimes it's infuriating because you really want to just go on and on about whatever it is. People are horrible. But it actually taught me a mindset, and mindset is everything in life, honestly. It taught me that there is nothing that's going to happen in real estate that's going to kill you. There's nothing that's going to happen pretty much anywhere in your job that's going to kill you. The things that will kill you will be like a bus or a mountain or disease. So get over it. And people, you're meeting people at their very worst. Even if it's something good that's happening, they're incredibly nervous and anxiety ridden and don't know how to properly bottle up their emotions. You're a place where they can let that out. So you have to develop a thick skin. Going back to theater, I interviewed all the time for directing jobs. I got 1 out of every 3 jobs I went for. That was fantastic. But I didn't get every job that I went for. And you have to develop the ability to shake yourself off and just move forward. Systems are absolutely the most important thing in terms of being financially successful in real estate and diversifying your portfolio. You have to learn about all of it. It will help you in dealing with your clients because your clients generally, when somebody can afford to buy $1 million or $2 million property, they've done pretty well for themselves. They are going to be financially astute and sophisticated, and you need to meet their level of sophistication. If they ask you a question about interest rates, you need to know that mortgages don't necessarily go down when the interest rate goes down because they're tied to the bond. You need to understand what the bond market is because you need to be able to talk intelligently and coherently with your folks about these kinds of things.
So true. Now, you mentioned something that really sparked my interest, which is your team. Not just your assistants, but also the accounting, the financial team. Amazing coach, absolutely incredible. Talk to me about finding your team, so recruiting, but then also retaining. What's your thoughts and strategies around that?
I am a veteran of an almost Seinfeld episode of listing coordinators. So, what happens when you get assistance is it's usually a young person who is extremely interested. A lot of people want to know how I do what I do. So, they want to work with me so that they can figure out everything so that in 6 months they'll be more successful than I am. I understand that. If they're not hungry like that, you don't even want to work with them. But the problem with that is they will stay with you for 2 years and then they're going to move on. So you always have to be recruiting people for that job. It's not something that you can expect somebody to stay in. If somebody stays in that job, they have no ambition. And if they have no ambition, they are not going to be hungry to help you. I had one assistant who was leaving the real estate business and she was older and she was great in many ways. She also was a party girl on the weekends and Mondays were useless, but she was worth it in many ways. And she stayed with me for 8 years. And that was too long, I realized, because we got into a groove around what she was doing. But my business took off more after she left. She went back to graduate school and became a forensic accountant, specializing in high profile financial trials all across the country and probably makes more money than you and me put together. She was brilliant. She was great. Then I had another assistant that lasted for 5 years whose heart wasn't really in it. She was really competent, super smart, really liked her. She loved Burning Man and was an artsy person and wanted to work with homeless people. She regarded what I did as me being the Antichrist on some level. But I pay very well to people. That's the other thing. When you have assistants, whoever it is you're working with, pay them very well. That's an important thing to do. In any case, I actually went to her about a month before I let her go and said, I'm going to fire you. I'm not firing you because you're not good. I'm firing you because you need to do something with your life that's better than this. You will be unhappy. I don't want you turning around when you're 40 years old and saying, I didn't live my life and Andrea Gordon was the fault behind it. I let her go at that point, and I know she was pissed off because it was a good paying job. But I also know that she now works in the nonprofit sector doing what she should be doing. You got to follow your bliss, as Joseph Campbell would say. You need to be doing what makes you light up. If you're not, don't do it. Life is really short.
Absolutely incredible piece of golden nuggets of takeaway action items for people. Hopefully everyone's got their pen and paper out and taking some amazing notes. Andrea, we've got our 60-second quiz to find out a little bit more about our guests. Are you willing to play?
Of course.
What's your favorite movie?
Babette's Feast.
Favorite food?
Mac and cheese.
Love it. Favorite holiday destination?
I'd have to say Edinburgh.
Do you have a morning and an evening routine?
I am a creature of great routine.
Do you have a most embarrassing moment?
Oh my. When I was in college, tube tops were very popular. And I was going out to lunch with a young man that I had an enormous crush on. As I walked out of the restaurant, I realized that my top had been down around my waist for the entirety of the luncheon and no one had said anything. How's that for embarrassing?
If you could choose 5 inspirational people to have dinner with, dead or alive, who would they be?
Oh my goodness. I would say Michelle Obama. I would say my friend Tara Nicole Kirk. I would say Mahatma Gandhi. Gregory Bateson. Is that 5?
Do you have a biggest regret?
No. I feel like I would have to hunt for something that I truly regret because I believe that every failure I've ever had has brought me to the place that I'm at now. And every mistake I've ever made has brought me to the place that I'm at now. I have a paperweight that says, what would you attempt to do if you knew you could not fail? There is no such thing as failure, and there should be no such thing as regrets. I don't even mind my first husband. It's okay.
Now, if you were in the US, if you were president for the day, what's one thing that you would change?
I would legalize all drugs because that would completely stop all that crime. I would make sure that all education was free. I would make decree after decree. I would make sure that healthcare was free. My family is Icelandic, And they have incredible social programs in place. The whole world could learn a lot from looking at Denmark, Iceland, and Sweden and how they handle things socially. The people are very happy there and life is good there. There's no reason for us to be having the kind of problems we're having right now. It's all a bunch of crap as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, definitely. Now, what's your best piece of advice?
In relation to
Life.
just take an incredibly big bite out of life.
Mm.
Go for everything. When it's time for you to die, have done absolutely everything that you possibly could and loved people as much as you possibly can.
Now, tell us a little bit about the podcast and where can people tune in to
Okay.
watch and listen to it?
I love your accent. It's so great. All right. The podcast is called Realizations, and RE is capitalized for real estate. The podcast was created because of the NAR DOJ lawsuits, along with the commission lawsuits, because I felt like we were really not being respected as a profession. It is one of the main professions, at least in the United States. I thought, okay, I'll get really angry for a really long time. And that's not useful. When you're angry, the only person it hurts is you. So then I thought, what could I do to make a difference? I decided that I would create the podcast to educate the American people as to all the varieties of real estate experience, all the different jobs associated with real estate, all the different possibilities there are in real estate, what the ramifications of real estate are in your city government, in your county government, in people's lives. Realtors give back all over the country. We are a gigantic source of transfer taxes that fund cities. We're a gigantic source of charitable work because everybody, obviously it benefits you when you're associated with a charity or something, but realtors do that and they do that work. I decided that I would create the podcast to do that. And so Realizations has been really successful. Everybody I've asked to be on the show has come on the show. Like Robert Refkin, the head of Compass, came on the show. I've had mayors on the show. I've had city planners on the show. I've had plumbers on the show. Everybody that we interface with has come on the show, and it's been great and climbing in popularity. It's available on Spotify, Hulu, YouTube, Apple, and Amazon. Please check it out. I would love to get your feedback on it. And if you really like it, please subscribe.
Fantastic. That's amazing. Andrea, thank you so much for being on the show today. Really appreciate so much wisdom, so much knowledge, so much energy, and so much experience. Thank you once again.
Thank you. It was wonderful to meet you. Thank you for the opportunity.